bookworms, I'm Becca. In today's video we're going to be talking about my top 5 favorite books of the year so far. I feel like all things considering 2020 has been a pretty decent reading year for me. I am one book ahead of schedule as far as my Goodreads goal goes. I was a little bit farther ahead, but I've been in a reading slump ever since a certain video game came out that will not be mentioned in this video, but even since that I've still managed to read some pretty good books. So I have picked 5 that I think hold a special place in my heart so far. It was really hard to pick these books because I feel like I'm very generous with my 5-star rating. A lot of the books I read, I'm like, it was amazing, 5 stars. But I feel like ratings happen for different reasons, but that's a topic for a whole other video. So I don't even know if I gave all of these books 5 stars necessarily, but I do love them all a lot. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 5 is I Love You So Muchi by Sarah Kuhn. In this we follow a teenage girl named Kimmy who's Japanese American, and she has a love for Japanese fashion design. However, her family does not want her to go into fashion, which is a little bit bizarre because her mom is an artist herself, but she doesn't appreciate Kimmy's craft. So when Kimmy's mom finds her doing fashion, Kimmy gets sent to Kyoto, Japan to stay with her estranged grandparents during spring break. And while she's there on vacation, she learns a lot about her Japanese heritage as well as her family and uncovers a lot of family secrets. And she also falls in love with a really cute boy who works at a mochi stand. I adored this book so much. It's been one of my biggest surprises of the entire year because when I went into this book, I was just expecting a quick little fluffy read, maybe 3 stars or so, nothing special. But for whatever reason, this story resonated with me and it has stuck with me so far. And I think that I read this book back in January. It was one of the first books that I read this year. I know that. I think what I found so fascinating about this book is learning more about Japanese culture along with Kimmy, and also the dynamic between Kimmy and her grandparents was really interesting as well. I feel like we don't get a lot of grandparent relationships in young adult. That was really intriguing to say the least. I was just invested in watching Kimmy's story unfold and learning more about her grandparents and the different intricate relationships in her family. It was so interesting. And even though I feel like the romance in this book could be considered insta-love, which I typically don't enjoy, I still thought that this romance was really adorable and I liked it a lot. I definitely recommend this book for people who love Jenny Han and the To All the Boys I Loved Before series. This was a really quick, fun read, but I feel like it had some more layers to it. So if you're looking for something that's sweet and fun, but has just a little more depth, you would probably enjoy this book. Coming in at number 4 is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is one of the most powerful books that I have ever read in my entire life. Mostly we follow a girl named Claudia who is returning back from a summer vacation to find that her best friend Monday has gone missing, but she is the only one that seems concerned about that. Even Monday's family doesn't seem concerned about that, and Claudia thinks that that's really suspicious, and so she does not give up in trying to find out what happened to Monday, especially when everyone in her life is acting so suspicious about what is going on. This is marketed as a young adult thriller, but the thriller of it, I think, is what knocked the rating down a little bit for me. I didn't love the twist that Claudia gets in the end because basically it uses an aspect of mental illness as a plot twist, and I don't like that at all. I don't think that mental illness should ever be used as a plot twist, but the rest of the story was so compelling because Claudia is a very unreliable narrator. The story jumps between a lot of different timelines, and at times it can be difficult to carry on with the story. But if you read between the lines and really get to the root of Monday's story, I feel like that is what solidified a spot for this book on my favorites list of the year so far, because as someone who works with children and is passionate about social work and everything that goes into that, this story absolutely wrecked my soul. Like, it really hit me a little bit too close to home, and just reading about Monday's story and thinking about the kids that I work with, I feel like it's a story that actually happens all too often, but nobody is talking about this. I have not seen very many people talk about this book at all, and I feel like it deserves so much more hype because this is one of the most important stories that I have ever read. And I don't know if it's just because it is so disturbing that people don't want to talk about it, but honestly, I feel like that is the main reason that we all should be talking about it. So if you have not read this book, I highly recommend it because I do think that it is such an amazing story, and Monday is a character that you will not be able to forget about very easily. Even though I don't think that I gave this book 5 stars, I still am thinking about this character all the time. And I think that speaks more to the story than the issues that I may or may not have had with the writing and plot devices. So that's why this book is on the list. Coming in at number 3 is the only middle grade on the list, which I am very surprised about, and it is Rick by Alex Gino. This is Alex Gino's newest release. It came out in April, and I was sent this by Scholastic for a review, so I will leave that review linked in case you want some more in-depth thoughts. This takes place in the same universe as Alex Gino's other book, George, in which we follow a trans girl named Melissa wanting to be the lead in her school's play and her journey with that. And in Rick, we follow another character from that same story, Rick obviously, as the group of kids are now entering middle school, and Rick is starting to question his own sexuality because he notices that everyone around him is starting to get crushes on boys and girls, and Rick isn't interested in any of that, and he doesn't know what that means for him. So it talks a lot about asexuality, which is something that is really important in a middle grade and I haven't seen yet. And I just feel like this is one of the best middle grade books that I have read that focuses on LGBT issues because it's so informative and not in a way that's overly pushy. Because in the story, Rick joins like a Rainbow Alliance type group, and there are so many really important discussions in which you learn about pronouns and gender and sexuality in a way that is very organic to the story, and it makes sense, but it is still really informative at an age-appropriate level, which I loved. In Rick, we also get a really interesting grandparent relationship that unfolds over the course of the story. I love Rick's grandfather. He is amazing. So it was just a very interesting read all around, and it's really short, and even though it's a short, quick read, it packed a serious punch, and I just cannot shut up about this book because it was so good. Coming in at number 2 is a book that I read recently, and it is Going Off Script by Jen Wild. This is Jen Wild's newest release, and I love their books so much. Queens of Geek is one of my favorite books of all time, and I still have yet to read The Brightsiders, but I need to because it's mentioned so much in Going Off Script. But in this book, we follow a girl by the name of Bex who is leaving her small town to move to LA to pursue an internship on set for her favorite television show because she has dreams of becoming a writer for TV. So during this journey, she drafts her own version of a script and passes it off to the showrunner, who in turn takes her script and passes it off as his own, which makes Bex so upset. But to make things even worse, he ends up reworking the script and rewriting Bex's lesbian character as straight. and that's when Bex knows that she needs to take a stand. So I really love this book because it talks a lot about performative allyship, and I think that that is a really important issue right now. And again, like, this was not a very long book, but it packed so much into it without making it feel like it was too much. Jen Wilde's writing is incredible. There's always a lot of references to pop culture, and I feel like there's a lot of references to like internet culture in this story particularly, which I loved. And I just loved seeing Bex grow over the course of this book and find her voice and stand up for what she believes in. And it was so good, you guys. This book was so freaking good. I loved it so much. It is definitely one of my new favorites. And the last book, the #1 spot so far anyway, is Check Please Volume 2 by Ngozi Ukazu. I don't think anyone is surprised. I'm going to rep this duology until the day I die. I love this graphic novel series so freaking much. In Volume 1, we follow Eric Biddy Biddle's freshman and sophomore year as he navigates the men's hockey team as a gay man at his university. He does it vlog style because he's a vlogger and he loves to bake, and he's just such a different personality than the rest of the hockey team. So in Volume 2, you get to follow his junior and senior year and get a glimpse into his life after college, which was so amazing. I ugly sobbed at so many points during this book because I feel like it was just a really beautiful send-off to such a wholesome, well-rounded story where the drama in the book was not centered around a breakup or relationship or anything. Like, it was real world issues that these characters were tackling. The art style in these books is phenomenal. If you are a fan of hockey, or even if you're not a fan of hockey, I highly recommend this series because it is just so good. Like, it's such a lighthearted, wholesome read that makes you really fall in love with the characters in a way that I didn't think was possible. Like, I want to go to this university and hang out with this friend group. I want to help the hockey team, and I don't know how I would do that, but I need to be a part of it. I need to be a part of this friend group. I need to be a part of this university. I just need to be in the story, please. Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. So there you guys go. Those are my top 5 favorite books of the year so far anyway. I am really excited for the last half of the year to see if any books I read can knock any of these 5 books off the list, because it's going to be difficult. I'm going to be honest. Let me know down below in the comments what your favorite book of the year has been so far. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below to see more bookish videos. That's all I got for you guys today, and I will see you next time. Bye!